In the last episode, I told you that 57% of people who get into therapy leave after the very first session. And that statistic left two big questions on my mind. Question number one was, why do people leave therapy? Why do 57% of people ghost their therapist after that first session? And the second question that was on my mind is, how can we make that first session so effective that even if a client never comes back to therapy, they still immensely benefit from that session. They still get substantial support from that session. They still get immense benefits from their investment in time and money. After doing a bit of research into this specific question, one thing seemed to come up over and over again. And this is something that I have been doing for the last, 3 years, which is called the Single Session Therapy Consultation. The Single Session Therapy Consultation is an extremely structured intervention that is supposed to help a client benefit from that one session. The people who came up with this Single Session Therapy Consultation looked at the numbers that I was talking about, people dropping out of therapy in the first session. And the argument was exactly what I am arguing, that there's a way that we can make therapy effective, that there are ways clients can benefit from the time they spend in therapy, even if it's just one experience. So the Single Session Therapy Consultation is structured in a way that gives the clients a beginning, a middle, and an end. When they leave the therapy session, they have benefited from just that one session in ways that some people never benefit if they only come to a regular unstructured therapy session. So ordinarily, people who drop out of therapy will have gone to that one session. It was not necessarily structured. They came in, they spoke, shared stories from different angles, brought in different complaints, and they were able to kind of vent about the problems that they're going through. And you see, with that kind of a session, it's more exploration. The therapist is more of a listener. The therapist is more of a person holding space for the therapy session for the client to be able to express themselves. And that means that by the time the client leaves the session, they don't necessarily leave with a structured way of addressing their problems. They don't necessarily leave with everything they could have gotten out of therapy if only that session was more structured. In the Single Session Therapy Consultation, the therapist uses that opportunity to give something a bit more structured. And the client benefits more because even after the venting, even after the exploration of what is bringing the client to therapy, the therapist ends the session in a way that the client will benefit 100% from that time together. Moving forward, I'll refer to it as the SST consultation, is rooted in solution-focused brief therapy. And solution-focused brief therapy is one of the most popular therapy modalities that exists in our profession. I love solution-focused brief therapy to a fault. I use it a lot in my work, not necessarily because I give short-term therapy, but because there are so many good things in that modality that have helped my clients in more ways than I can explain. I know many therapists are familiar with solution-focused brief therapy, but most of them might not be using it in the ways that it could be used to give benefit to clients. So if you are listening to this and you are thinking about ways you can benefit from solution-focused brief therapy, a good way of doing that is seeking single session therapy consultations. If you go for the SST consultation, you will find that the structure is very obvious. There is the way that the session starts. The therapist is going to ask you a lot about your goals and your purpose for being in therapy. They are going to ask about the reasons why you're coming to therapy. They will want to summarize a lot of the things that you're saying. Even if you guys are exploring, they will still want to summarize a lot of what you're saying so that it is very clear to both of you what the actual problem is that is bringing you to therapy. And this will be done in that first session. They will not wait at you guys to discuss your main problem in session 3 or session 4. They will want to discuss and be specific in the very beginning about why you are in therapy. And this is very, very helpful because most people don't even understand why they're going to therapy. Another thing that you will notice in an SST consultation is that your therapist will want to figure out what you are hoping to gain out of the therapy session, even after you've aired your main concern. Yes, we know your main problem, but what do you want to get out of the therapy session? What do you want to get out of therapy in general, right? That is part of the structure of the SST consultation. There are many techniques that the therapist will use to help you understand the problems that you're going through. Those techniques are effective in clarifying whatever problems you're going through, and your therapist needs to be knowledgeable about these techniques. And that's why your therapist needs to understand what a single session therapy consultation is. If it is a thing that you are looking for, make sure that your therapist knows that that is what you're looking for, so that when you go for that one session, they don't start with asking you about your childhood and exploring things to do with where you grew up, your attachment styles. Those are not the things that will be discussed in an SST consultation. And make sure you clarify that to your therapist in the beginning, that you're looking for an SST. The reason why you might seek an SST is if you have like a specific issue that you need to address. Let's say, for example, you are starting a new job and you are having a lot of anxiety around the new job, or you're having a lot of anxiety about your capacity to deliver at the new job, things of that nature. That is a very specific goal, a very specific issue that is bothering you in this present moment. So an SST would be very, very useful for you in that situation because it addresses a specific problem that is situational. And that is the kind of support a therapist might offer you in an SST consultation. It's not for people who have serious clinical issues. You can't go for an SST if you have something like you've been having psychotic episodes. Maybe you have a diagnosis of bipolar and you are trying to figure out how to live with your diagnosis. That is not the place for SST. It's not the kind of thing that you go for when maybe you are dealing with long-term grief. You have been struggling with grief for a long time. Maybe you lost someone and it's been 3 years and you're still struggling. An SST might not be very, very useful because even if we know the specific issue that is driving the long-term grief, it can't be solved in one session. So have at the back of your mind the knowledge that an SST might be more useful for something that is short-term, something that is very specific, and something that requires immediate action. It's not necessarily something that requires exploration and digging deeper to find out the things in your childhood that are influencing your current stressors. I highly encourage you to give a single session therapy consultation a chance. Think about the issues that you might want a therapist to help you address. Think about ways that you could make use of that session so that you get the most benefits out of it. And even if you never go back to therapy, at least you will have left with something that can help you think in a different way regarding your current problem and other problems that you get in future. Because in future, you're going to still stumble in some places and you might not have the time or the energy or the effort or the financial muscle to sit through long-term therapy. So when you go to a single session therapy, make sure that you use it to its maximum capacity. Make sure you explore ways in which the lessons that you learn in that session can be applied into other aspects of your life. If you're a therapist and you are not familiar with the single session therapy consultation, I highly encourage you to go read about it and to find out more about this particular protocol, because there are many, many resources out there that can help you help your clients. If 57% of your clients who come to therapy will leave after the first session, you might as well give them an effective first session. You have a duty to offer them the best service in that one session. That is what I have to offer you in regards to the second question about how we can make the first session extremely, extremely effective. Make use of the single session therapy consultation protocol that has been laid out in the literature. It is available. If you do a simple Google search, you are going to find a list of resources that you can check out and you can start using it in your therapy sessions. As a therapist, as a client, it is something that you can ask for from your therapist so that your first session can be beneficial to you and your investment in time and money can pay off in a huge way with just one session. Highly, highly encourage that. With that said, if you have any questions regarding single session therapy consultations, I am happy to answer them. Please leave them in the comment section. If it is something that you want me to offer you, a single session therapy consultation, please click the link in the description to book a session with me. I am always available for those and I love them because they are extremely effective, they are short-term, and they have helped clients that I have worked with. So check that out. With that said, thank you so much for coming through. As always, thank you for your time, for your patience, and for your interest in mental health. And let me know in the comments about anything else that you would like me to talk about regarding mental health and psychology related topics. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Bye.